Google Classroom Professional Development Plan by Tamara Argueta. Wake Forest Academy is a K-8 charter school in rural Wake Forest. Last year, the school assigned every student a Chromebook which they are allowed to use at home and school. Most of the teachers are new to the school and do not have a lot of experience using Google Classroom. Last year, the school went virtual for most of the year. Teachers met with students using Google Meet. This year, the students are attending school in person. However, the spike in COVID-19 cases has caused many students to miss several days of school. Most recently, all teachers were asked to create a Google Classroom and upload their classroom assignments to make daily assignments available to students outside of the classroom. The teachers from last year are familiar with Google Classroom. They know how to create a Google Classroom, invite students using a link or code, and add assignments. Many of the new teachers at the school are just beginning to set up and use Google Classroom. As the technology specialist for the school, I was asked to help teachers set up their Google Classrooms. I made a quick tutorial and sent it out to the staff. Then I followed up with individual meeting sessions with teachers based on their questions and needs. Overall, the teachers have a positive attitude for Google Classroom. In the one-to-one meetings, I learned teachers were in favor of using Google Classroom. The hesitation in using Google Classroom came from the teachers' unfamiliarity with Google Classroom's tools and features. The problem is many of the Google Classroom tools and features beyond creating a class and adding assignments are unfamiliar to the majority of teachers at the school. The objective is for teachers to increase their level of use and improve online instruction and communication using Google Classroom. See Figure 1. The staff will need to learn how to use the tools and features in Google Classroom to support classroom instruction and communication and facilitate group work. The individual performance needs of the teachers will need to be clearly identified before beginning professional development for Google Classroom. Surveys will be used to determine the teacher's initial stage of concern. The concerns-based adoption model will be used to evaluate each teacher's level of use with implementing Google Classroom throughout professional development. After careful analysis of the levels of use, teachers will participate in staff development in collaboration with teachers to implement Google Classroom and adapt their lessons, communicate with students, and facilitate group work. See Figure 2. Teachers will need professional development training to utilize Google Classroom tools and features effectively. Professional development sessions will be tailored to the needs of the teachers. Sessions will focus on the following: getting familiar with Google tools, saving time communicating, facilitating group work, and collaboration sessions. Teachers will learn how to navigate tools in Google Classrooms to build interactive lessons, create quizzes online using Google Forms, and give direct feedback to students through Google Chat and by commenting on assignments. In addition, they will learn how to Google Classroom to stream class announcements, assign due dates, and share their students' work with the school community. Throughout the training, teachers will be given time to collaborate with their peers to improve the level of use. See Figure 3. In Phase 2, begin to implement the strategies from Stage 1 in ensuring a sequential and effective professional development plan for utilizing Google Classroom in our school. Since the teachers are already using Google Classroom, a survey will be sent out to determine their level of use and comfort level of use for planning staff development. This survey will allow the school's technology team to determine the best course of action when implementing the Google Classroom Professional Development Plan. The technology team will analyze the responses and determine each teacher's level of use and begin grouping teachers for sessions that meet their needs and improve their comfort level in using the tools in Google Classroom. In addition, the team will pair novice users with more experienced users to make a peer available for questions during the implementation of new Google Classroom tools. Following the survey analysis, the technology team will begin implementing Google Classroom professional development. Since our school has very long days and required afternoon meetings, the PDP for Google Classroom will consist of a self-paced learning module with resources for articles, supporting documents, tutorials, implementation, and self-evaluation for the following: tools in Google Classrooms, Google Class assignments, communication using Google Classroom, and facilitating group work. Support for self-paced learning will be made available through available conference times, which will be made after school for 15-minute sessions. In addition, teachers will also have the opportunity to collaborate with their peer partners as needed. Surveys will indicate which topics teachers would like to learn about in Google Classroom and which teachers are experts in specific subtopic areas. From the surveys, an individual learning guide will be prepared for each teacher. Teachers will use a pacing guide to keep track of their learning. Google Sites will include links to all of the resources and quizzes for all of the topics and subtopics. The time frame for teachers to complete all modules of learning as needed will be 6 months. Teachers teaching the same subjects will share their Google lessons in our school drive. A folder for each grade level and subject area will be created for teachers to share Google lessons. All teachers will be able to access the folders and be able to reuse a lesson from any teacher or subject area. How often these lessons are used will be recorded and evaluated by the technology team by assessing the activity dashboards and viewing the viewer trend. This will allow the team to evaluate the use of shared lessons for Google Classroom. Each module will end with a self-evaluation and professional development survey. This contentious feedback throughout the training will assist in modifying the professional development plan as needed throughout the training. Self-evaluations will be created and shared through Google Forms. All self-evaluation surveys will include the following reflection questions. What features or tools did you implement in Google Classroom for instruction? What was positive about your experience? What would you like to change next time? Each module evaluation will consist of the following open-ended questions. What are the 3 most important topics ideas you learned from this module? Was an appropriate amount of material covered during this module? Please explain your answer. How will this module change the way you plan and implement learning? Peer meetings and conferences will also help to assess the program's effectiveness. Meetings will help to clarify which areas need more support. The pacing guide will indicate when meetings should occur, and the meeting logs will give feedback for the meetings. The meeting logs will be a way to evaluate needs for areas of improvement, as well as evaluate the strengths of the program. Meeting logs will be completed after every meeting and/or conference. Meeting logs will consist of peer and mentor emails, the date of the meeting, topics and subjects discussed, and the outcomes of the meeting. Below is the pacing guide for staff development. Within the pacing guide is the dates for conferences and peer meetings. A final evaluation for Google Classroom PDP will be given at the end of 6 months. The evaluation will be analyzed for the effectiveness of the program and shared with the school's technology team and administrators in an effort to improve the modules for future professional development. The team will compare the survey results from Phase 2 with the final survey results in Phase 3. Growth will be determined by the number of teachers who indicate growth by selecting from one of the following statements for each outcome. I would like to learn. I can use the feature. I can teach someone.